from economic reform to social justice, development and national unity. Mr. Pilot joins us virtually for a fireside chat titled Pilot's Vision, Navigating Bharat and Rajasthan's Future. And Shivani Gupta, my colleague, will be taking this conversation ahead.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being with us, and thank you Sachin Pilot for your time. It's a pleasure to have you here on Rising Bharat because our theme is youth. And who better than one of the young faces of the Congress party, the oldest political party in India, to talk to it about. Let me begin by asking you, Sachin, if you were asked to describe what vision you have as an individual, as a political leader for the youth of the country, how would you describe it?
I think it's true that this country is blessed with a very young population, but it's also true that we have to work tirelessly to be able to provide opportunities, to be able to make an India that's inclusive, that growth is not the only criteria, but equitable growth is the key. And young people, educated people, really have a lot of contribution to make. And to my mind, India is a country that is made up of more than one ideology, more than one narrative. So how to get people together, how to make India a 21st century nation that can take upon the challenges that the times have brought to us. I think politically we have different views, and I think the government of the day may have tried last 10 years, but there is certainly a sense of lacking, a sense of not being included, and a sense of despair between the young people as they move forward, and the huge divide that we have between our society, rich and poor. There are many challenges, but for young people, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we in the opposition are happy to be constructive in our role, but we certainly will make the government of the day accountable and answerable as we move on.
But Sachin, I have to ask you, if you look at recent election results, not just the Lok Sabha election results, but you look at Haryana and Maharashtra, where your party was expected to do very well, but it didn't. Don't you think that your party is losing or has already lost that connect with the Indian youth?
I think that's a very sweeping statement. We have won elections in the past, we have lost some elections, but I don't think one or two wins or losses actually define a political party. We have a commitment to the people of India, whether we've been in government or not. Don't forget, we were in government for 10 years, and now we have been in opposition for 10 years. That's part of how Indian politics plays. But we've remained true to what we feel is our commitment. That is that we must, when I was in government with Dr. Manmohan Singh, we used to work aggressively in being able to provide jobs. I think that's something that this government has miserably failed. And I'm not trying to be critical, but the facts speak for themselves. We have the highest recorded unemployment ever. But the narrative, the media, the perception, the communication tries to hide away all those facts. And I'm not being critical for the sake of being critical. But I believe that as we move forward, India is growing. But are we growing to our potential? Are we able to punch above our weight? Are we doing justice to the tens of millions of educated young men and women who are running from corner to corner, can't find a reasonable job? And not just unemployment. I think underemployment is as much of a problem. So, when you say winning and losing elections, we have won a few states, we lost a few states. But I'm sitting here in Ahmedabad today. We have a party convention, and we once again taken upon the challenge to lock horns in the battlefield. We are ready to face any challenge. Our commitment and our resolve to be able to serve the people, to be able to connect with them, and very soon we are launching a mass contact program, a door-to-door program, to make sure that more and more people are able to connect with the ideology.
I have to ask you this. You're talking about, that lag or that lack of opportunity for the Indian youth. It may be a trend that wasn't started by your party, but your party, the Congress party, has also co-opted in the freebie culture. The BJP is also guilty of co-opting in the freebie culture. How do we solve the problem of the young today if all we are willing to offer them are freebies? Is your party also not guilty of doing this for the sake of winning elections, and still you're not winning elections? What does that say?
I'm glad you asked this question. And here's my answer to that. My response is very clear. I believe as a state, it is our constitutional responsibility to be able to provide support, resources for those who don't have any. Now, whether it's the US or Europe, everybody has an affirmative program. You have food coupons, you have subsidies, you have all sorts of financial benefits for people who are not in the mainstream. But it should be targeted, it should be monitored. One should not use that as a platform to garner votes. But once you're in government, and I have to take you back, from 2004 to 14, when we had UP 1 and 2, 145 million people were lifted from abject poverty, above the poverty line. So I'm all for supporting and targeted support of all people who need our resources, whether education, health, food subsidy, electricity. I think we owe to those people. But it can't be a race to the bottom. It can't be that I'm giving 200 units and you give 400 units. That's not how it is. And there are many political parties who don't have the governance historical record of delivery. Our party has been in power for a few decades. We've been in opposition. We talk with responsibility. And I can tell you one thing, whatever election promises the Congress party makes, it's done with a thorough due diligence of what the resources are, what we can manage, and what we're able to deliver. There are some people who are getting into this competitive game and are promising things which then becomes problematic post-elections. So I'm against that. But I think people who deserve the support and help of the government should get that support.
Okay, then let me ask you, your leader, the leader of the Congress party, or the biggest face of the Congress party today, Rahul Gandhi, he's been talking about caste-based reservations. He wants to expand it beyond the 50% limit legally prescribed today. He talks about jitni abadi utna hak, that it should be on the basis of the proportion that one has in population. And the idea is, of course, that the OBCs and others are much larger in population than 50% of the Indian current population. If we go that route, the direct question that comes to mind is what happens to merit then? Because the young of the country, the youth of the country, if there is one thing they tell politicians again and again, and us when we go to the field, is that they want an India which runs on merit, not on किस परिवार से आते हो, आपके माता पिता कौन हैं. Dynasty, they don't like reservations as much. They want merit. They want to be standing on their own feet. So then I don't understand, how does your vision of what the youth need go hand in hand with the jitni abadi utna hak, or more reservations than we already have?
I think I've understood your question. No, so let me start by saying that I am fully in agreement with you that we have to have a competitive merit-based system in our country. There is no question about it. But on the flip side, if the argument you made, I have only this to say. There are people who have not been able to enter the mainstream, who are on the fringes of our society, absolute fringes, economically, socially, subjugated to centuries of suppression. And when I say, and when the Congress party says we must have a head count, it is only to make sure that we have the adequate budgetary allocations to those sections who need it. After the survey is done, maybe we'll find that some people are getting it, but they don't deserve it. Move that. Be scientific. Unless we know the extent of the population or the geographical area which they inhabit, how do I know how much money to give? And incidentally, you said 50%. Who said 50%? Why not 40 or 55? This limit is arbitrary because it is set, some decades ago. India has changed. I think we must have a head count to see the socio-economical background of everybody in this country, and then take a considered view of how much to allocate where. It's very scientific. Now we have technology, we have bank accounts, we have direct benefit transfer, we have technology at our disposal to figure out which areas, which sections, and which part of our society needs such support. Right now, it's done ad hoc. It's done, if I run a government, I'll say I support this one, you come to power, you support that one. There is no scientific basis of allocating budgets, money, schemes, programs, and there is no scientific way of monitoring that. All we're saying is, let the truth come out, let us have a full head count, and based on that, post-discussion, do a merit-based system of how do you allocate resources. Right now, resource allocation is done at the whim and fancy of a political party or a government. There is no data to back it. Every time we have gone to court, court always says, please give empirical evidence of why you want to do this scheme or reservation, for example. And I think there's no harm. There are about a dozen states who have already crossed the 50% limit. So 50% limit is something that was, put down by some court decades ago. There is no reason for us not to have a head count and then take a reality check as to how much we need. Perhaps we need less. And if we have to cross a limit in some areas, let's do that. Let's not be bound by history and legacy and not be scientific in our approach.
Okay.
So to your argument that this will kill merit, I don't believe it. I think people who have merit have enough space and they should get space. But those who have been left out in the mainstream for decades and centuries do need a level playing field.
No, possibly that 50% mark was set because at least there will be 50% merit-based and 50% reservation-based. Maybe it was more palatable for people to accept that rather than a 70-80% reservation. But I'll ask you very quickly. You are saying caste survey, do it, get the head count and then allocate resources accordingly. That's fine in its own regard. But are you also for increasing reservation limit to 60, 70, 80%?
There are areas in the country where 90% population is tribals and Dalits. Where do they go? I mean, I think what we should do actually is to make the supply so abundant that the demand matches it. Right now, there is less number of seats available, less jobs available, and that's why there is a hue and cry of how many seats we can give. If you make the supply abundant, if you put resources in creating jobs, if you increase the number of seats for engineering, for college, for education, they will not have this problem. I mean, we have to work in tandem. And you know, when you say that 50% should be merit, I think it should be 100% merit. But what about a large chunk of our country that has not moved as quickly as some of us have? What about those people who don't have access to money, resource, connections, who can't get to a college, who can't get education, and are living in abject poverty? And this country cannot grow and get its place under the sun in the global world unless that half of our country is brought to the front line.
Okay.
And the way to do it is not giving money, is giving opportunity. And I'm asking for level playing field, but you cannot ignore those who have all access, studying in the best schools and colleges, competing with people in villages who have hardly anything. So you have to have a balance. But having a head count, how does it hurt? Let's get the facts out. Let's not do, tera, mera, I know better, you know better. Let's get scientific proof of what the numbers are, and then we'll figure out how to move forward.
Okay, fair enough. Head count at least can be a start for a rational debate. I have to ask you one final question, Sachin, before I let you go. We're talking about the youth. I don't want to make it too personal, but, there are several leaders of your age bracket who have lost the Congress party recently. Your fellow former congressman, there was a time when there were, movement linked to you as well. Why is it that that the Congress party, your party, is failing to retain its young talent?
Well, I think just to add to your comment, we have lost some talent who's not very young also. We have Captain Amrinder Singh, we have Ghulam Nabi Azad, we had Ashok Chavan, and we had tons of other people. So people who are not, don't have the stomach for a fight will do what they have to do. Some people have personal compulsions, and this government of the day is using every resource at their disposal, whether it's enforcement directorate, CBI, police, income tax to subjugate. And once people cross over, suddenly they become blame-free and become the best people in the world. That's between them and the BJP. I have nothing to add. All I can say is that those who are committed for the party, who believe in the ideology and will fight till the end, those are the kind of workers we want to cultivate. And today in the session at AICC in Ahmedabad, we are giving a clarion call for this year to be the year of organization, to reach out to the blocks, to the panchayats, to a mass contact program, door-to-door campaign, to galvanize our supporters, and people need a strong opposition. We have been put in the opposition, but for 4.5 years, I can assure you that the Congress party, our workers and our leaders will be on the ground, voicing the voice of the people, raising those issues and making this government accountable. Kaun aa raha hai, kaun ja raha hai, it's part of politics. I will make no comments, but I think ultimately people are the best judge. Whether anyone makes a decision, good or bad, you and I can't make a decision. The people of India will decide whether this is right or wrong.
All right. I do appreciate you joining us, Sachin Pilot. Thanks a lot for speaking here on Rising Bharat. We look forward to more stories coming in, not just for the youth that the Congress party will be connecting with, but also, of course, your state of Rajasthan as well. All the very best, and thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for being such a lovely, patient audience. I will invite my colleague Christine back. Thanks a lot.